Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming MCS exams happening in February 2026. My name is Nicholas and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for MCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to teach you crucial answering and time management technique. If you are to pass this exam comfortably, you need to know how to structure your answer, how you should structure your answers. And also, you should know how to bring in conceptual elements as and when necessary, with the intention of developing high quality answers, and at the same time figure out what type of pre-seen information should be brought in when developing your answers. So all these things will be taught in the first part of today's webinar, and in the second part, I'm going to explain how to apply these answering and time management techniques in a practical manner, thereby taking you through a subtask, which I'm going to direct your attention towards concerning mock exam 1. I'm going to take you through MCS mock 1 section 2 subtask A, and I'm going to explain how to develop the answer. Whilst doing so, I'm going to explain how to implement these answering and time management techniques in the most practical manner. And before we get into the nitty-gritties, let me quickly remind you of the upcoming webinars and workshops we have scheduled for you. So as I mentioned in last week's webinar, we are taking a two-week break, given the fact that everybody is busy with festivities tied to Christmas as well as the New Year. So because of that, I'm not going to hold sessions in the upcoming 2 weeks. However, we are kickstarting once more on the 4th of January, which is a Sunday, at the same time 10 GMT or 10 AM UK, in which I'm going to teach you crucial stress management techniques. So in this exam, as I mentioned in last week's webinar, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application. The examiner is also testing whether you can manage stressful situations, because if you are stressed at your exam, you will definitely run out of time, and when you run out of time, you will end up failing this examination. So it's essential that you learn stress management techniques and keep practicing stress management techniques whenever you are attempting your mock exams. So I will be teaching you these things in the 4th webinar, and within the same webinar, I'm going to take you through examiner's comments, thereby directing your attention towards the exam blueprint. It's essential that you understand what the examiner expects from you, both in terms of how to conduct your preparations and how to be confident on the day of the examination. So once we are done with the webinar series, we are kickstarting our workshop and masterclass series. And in each workshop, I'm going to explain what is covered within your F2, P2, and E2 syllabi. And at the same time, I'm going to conduct a masterclass focused on one of our mock exams, thereby explaining how to attempt mock exams and how to structure your answers in the most effective manner, just like how I'm going to conduct today's masterclass. Whilst with the intention of teaching you answering and time management technique, I'm going to conduct masterclasses focused on F2, P2, and E2 related questions. And in each of these workshops, I will be conducting a Q&A session towards the very end. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can get them addressed instantaneously by attending these sessions live. And in the final workshop, which happens just 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will be sharing last minute tips with you to make sure that you are capable of being confident both before and during the examination. Because if you are confident, if you believe in your skill set, as per the CIMA examiner, you can easily pass this examination. So just like how you have benefited from the previous sessions, you will benefit from the upcoming sessions as well. So make sure to attend these sessions live, especially to benefit from the Q&A session. Having said that, let's try to understand how you should approach the answering technique, or how you should develop answers at the MCS level. So first things first, you need to be considerate about the format in which your answers are expected. So I'm going to direct your attention towards a suggested answer which we have developed focused on mock exam 1. So as you can see, there are main headings which are in bold and underlined format. And if you need to further fraction out your answer, you are invited to rather come up with subheadings. And if you are utilizing a subheading, it should be in bold format. And you are supposed to provide answers in paragraph form, not in bullet points or single line sentences. And each paragraph should ideally consist of 2 to 4 lines or 2 to 4 sentences. So that's exactly what you can see throughout this answer. The entire answer is in paragraph form, and based on the number of subtasks which appear within a certain section, you need to determine how many main headings you should include in your answer. So if you look at this question, I'm directing your attention towards section number 2 of MCS Mock Exam 1. In this, you can see that there are 2 subtasks. Since there are 2 subtasks, in your answer, there should be 2 main headings. And in certain sections, you will see 3 subtasks. If you see 3 subtasks, then in your final answer, you need to have 3 main headings. So in this section, there are only 2 subtasks. Therefore, you can only see 2 main headings, and each main heading is in bold and underlined format. So that's exactly what you can see here. This is the main heading which I've developed for the first subtask, and this is the main heading which I've developed for the second subtask, and each main heading should be in bold and underlined format. All right, so that's the first element which you need to be considerate about. And as I mentioned earlier, your answer should be in paragraph form, and each paragraph should consist of 2 to 4 sentences. And also, you have to be considerate about how you should manage your time. So when it comes to coming up with a plan with the aim of managing your time, do not think in terms of managing 3 hours. Instead, you have to think in terms of managing 4 slots of 45 minutes each. I'm going to take you through the exam platform in a little while. Then you will understand why I'm saying this. So don't plan to manage 3 hours. Instead, you have to come up with a plan to manage 4 slots of 45 minutes each. So how are you supposed to manage these 45 minutes in each section? So first things first, you are supposed to read through the scenario. And in order to do so, you are supposed to dedicate ideally 5 minutes. Even if you take 7 minutes, I'm totally fine with it, because you can still catch up the lost 2 minutes. However, if you go beyond 7 minutes, it indicates the fact that you are spending too much time on reading. And when this is the case, you will definitely run out of time. So if you feel that you are not in a position to read through the entire scenario within 5 to 7 minutes, then you have to take steps to practice your reading, because the only way to improve your reading speed is to practice reading. So purchase a book or your weekend newspaper, dedicate 30 to 60 minutes on a daily basis, and you have to practice reading. So read the newspaper or the book which you have purchased by dedicating 30 to 60 minutes on a daily basis. So if you keep doing this, by the time you are walking into the examination, you will see a significant improvement in your reading speed. And when it comes to reading, I said that you should have the capability to read the entire scenario within 5 to 7 minutes. So when it comes to reading the entire scenario, this includes what appears within the scenario, as well as what appears within the reference material. So you should have the capability of reading the entire scenario and the reference material within 5 to 7 minutes. And once you have read through the scenario, then your next step should be to develop something called an answer plan. And in order to develop the answer plan, you are supposed to dedicate 20 minutes of your time. So this is what an answer plan should look like. As you can see, before you finalize your answer in paragraph form, you are supposed to plan out your answer. You are supposed to spend some time to think as to how you should structure your answer, what type of information you should bring in from the pre-scene, what type of conceptual knowledge should be brought in with the intention of developing the highest quality answers. So all these things should be handled within these 20 minutes before you finalize your answer. So don't when it comes to developing the answer plan, don't come up with extremely long sentences. You are not supposed to plan out your answer in paragraph form. Keep it simple. Come up with short sentences. Utilize bullet points and whatnot. As you can see, I've not come up with extremely long answers. Instead, I've kept things simple, because when it comes to planning, your main objective should be to think, not try to finalize your answer, because you have a separate amount of time to finalize your answer in paragraph form. So within this 20 minutes, what you are supposed to do is, you are supposed to develop the answer plan focused on the entire section. So within this section, there are 2 subtasks. So within 20 minutes, you should have the capability of developing answer plans covering both these 2 subtasks. And once you have developed the answer plan, then you should direct your attention towards typing your answer, which is an extremely easy thing to do, because when it comes to developing the answer plan, you have already thought about what you should include in your answer. So there is no planning involved when it comes to typing. So you have already developed an answer plan, which is in a concise format. And then once you have developed the answer plan, your next step should be to expand the answer plan in paragraph form. When doing so, develop a paragraph per answer point. So let's assume that for the first subtask, under the first subtask, you plan to include 11 valid points. If so, in your final answer, you should see 11 different paragraphs. So that's exactly what you can see here. The answer plan looks something like this. This should not be your final answer. However, when it comes to the final part, you have to expand each answer point in paragraph form, and therefore this is how your answer should look like at the end of each section. All right, so you have to stick to this methodology. You are not supposed to multitask, especially given the fact that you are operating in a time-pressured environment. When this is the case, you will struggle to multitask. You cannot read, plan, and type, do all these 3 activities together. Instead, it's better to tackle each activity one after the other, so that you'd feel comfortable and you are in a position to avoid undue stress levels at your examination. So although I'm asking you to stick to this methodology, when you are trying to implement this for the first time, you are definitely going to struggle, because although I'm asking you to develop the answer plans focused on all subtasks which appear within a section within 20 minutes, when you try to do it for the first time, you are definitely going to take 40 minutes, 35 or 40 minutes. So you are expected to develop the answer plan within 20 minutes. But when you try to do it for the first time, you are going to take 35 to 40 minutes. So do not get demotivated by this fact. You will run out of time. You are going to struggle. You'd feel stressed. You will feel like giving up the exam halfway through. Don't worry, because you are practicing something for the first time. So just like anything else in life, without practice, you cannot champion this answering and time management technique. But by the time you are done with the first 3 mock exams, by the time you are attempting the 4th mock exam, you will see a significant improvement in the way in which you manage your time and plan out your answers. So although you are struggling, you will be struggling when it comes to planning the answer. Although you'd take something like 35 to 40 minutes to develop the answer plan, by the time you are attempting mock number 4, you will see that you have the capability of developing an answer plan within just 20 to 25 minutes. And with further practice, once you are done with all 6 of our mock exams, by the time you are walking into the examination, you will have the capability of developing answer plans within just 20 minutes. All right, so you have to just because you know these techniques, you are not going to nail these 2 techniques at your exam. Instead, it is essential that you practice these 2 techniques under exam conditions whenever you are attempting our mock exams. So if you stick to this process, you are going to stand out. Your answers are going to stand out, especially given the fact that you are dedicating some time to plan your answer. I'm not the person who is saying this. It's the CIMA examiner who wants you to plan your answers or spend some time to structure your answer. Because most students out there, 99% of the students out there, what they do is they within 5 to 7 minutes, they read through the entire scenario and directly they move towards typing out the final answer without spending some time to plan the answer. So when students do this, they are not trying to plan. Instead, they are trying to plan as well as type. So they are trying to multitask. As I mentioned earlier, if you try to multitask, especially when you are pressed for time, things will be extremely difficult at your examination. That is why most students who end up typing the final answer right after reading through the scenario, halfway through the answer, they realize that they are headed in the wrong direction or their answer is inaccurate. Therefore, these students will end up deleting the entire answer. And once you have deleted the entire answer, when you know for a fact that you have to start from scratch, your brain will constantly keep reminding you about the fact that you have wasted time. And when this is the case, there's a tendency for you to come up with rushed answers, and rushed answers are not the best type of answers out there. So you are supposed to play the role of a finance manager. If you are to come up with the best type of evaluations or come up with the best type of recommendations, you have to think in a rational manner. Rationality goes out of the window when you are stressed, when you are panicking. Why are you stressed? Why are you panicking? Because you have wasted time, because you have tried to multitask. Due to this fact, you have come up with an inaccurate answer. When you figure it out, it's too late. You'd have to start from scratch. And when you start from scratch, you don't have enough time to attempt all subtasks. Therefore, there's a tendency for you to rush the process. When you rush the process, you won't come up with the best type of answers. And when this is the case, you'd end up failing this examination. So do not try to rush the process. Do not stick to your own methodology. This is a tried and tested process. This is the process which is preached by the CIMA examiner as well. So stick to this answering and time management technique. Don't try to multitask. Dedicate 5 to 7 minutes to read. Then focus your attention towards planning. Once you are done with the plan, typing becomes extremely easy, especially given the fact that since you have already planned out your answer, you know what you should type in your final answer. So there's no thinking involved. When it comes to typing, it's simply a matter of expanding each of the points which you have highlighted within your answer plan. And if you stick to this process, it's as if you are letting your brain rest in the final 15 to 20 minutes when you are typing your answer. Because as I mentioned earlier, since you have already planned out your answer, you need not really think when it comes to expanding the answer plan or when it comes to typing your final answer. All right, so stick to this process. And in terms of the technicalities, the typing speed expected is a minimum of 20 words per minute. So if you are not in a position to type 20 words per minute, then you are not going to pass this examination. You are definitely going to run out of time, however much knowledge you possess. So it's essential, just like what I mentioned about reading. If you are lagging behind because of your typing speed, then you have to take steps to practice your typing on a daily basis. So again, purchase a newspaper and on a daily basis, dedicate 30 to 60 minutes of your time and start typing. Read the newspaper and type it on a computer or laptop, because the only way to improve your typing speed is to practice typing. So if you're falling behind in terms of time because of a lack of reading practice or typing practice, you need to practice these two elements on a daily basis in order to pass this exam comfortably. Because if you run out of time, if you mismanage your time, you are never going to pass this examination. And also, when it comes to developing the answer plan, it's essential that you understand how many points you need to include under each and every subtask. So as you can see in here, and in front of each subtask or under each subtask, you'd see a weightage which the examiner has indicated. So the weightage for subtask A is 50%, and the weightage for subtask B is again 50%. So these weightages give us an indication of mark allocations. So you have to be considerate about mark allocations before finalizing your answer plan. So before developing your answer plans, you need to be considerate about how many points are dedicated or how many marks are dedicated for each and every subtask. So how are you supposed to stipulate this or determine this? So as you know, each section carries a total mark allocation of 37.5 marks each. So 50% of 37.5 marks come up to 18.5 or 18.75 to be precise. That's exactly what you can see in here. I'm directing your attention towards section number 2 because we are in section number 2. So the weightages provided are 50% each. So 50% of 37.5 marks come up to 18.75 marks in total. So now you know how many marks are dedicated for each subtask, and then your next step should be to determine how many answer points you need to include in each subtask. So how are you supposed to determine this? As per the CIMA examiner, each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks. Okay, so if you come up with a valid point, you will score 2 or 3 marks. So in order to determine how many points you need to include under each subtask, divide the mark allocation by 3 and then again divide the mark allocation by 2. So the marks dedicated for the subtask is 18.75. So if you divide 18.75 by 3, you will get an answer which is 6. And again, when you divide 18.75 by 2, you get an answer which is 9. So if you come up with 6 to 9 valid points, or if you include 6 to 9 valid points for subtask A as well as subtask B, you are going to get full marks. So if you stick to this methodology, you are taking steps to ensure that you are developing an answer which is 100% aligned with the weightages provided. Therefore, your answer is 100% aligned with the marks dedicated for each subtask, and this will ensure that your answer is not too long or too short, because students have a tendency to spend a lot of time on the first subtask. So the marks dedicated for the first subtask is 18.75. As I mentioned earlier, you are supposed to come up with 6 to 9 valid points to score full marks. Although this is the case, students have a tendency to include too much or too many points under the first subtask. So when you're supposed to include 6 to 9 valid points, students end up including something like 12 valid points. Let's take this as an example. So you are supposed to come up with 6 to 9 valid points. However, you end up including 12 valid points for or under subtask A. When this is the case, when this happens, you will run out of time when it comes to tackling subtask B. And when you run out of time, you end up losing marks, or there's a tendency for you to come up with rushed answers. As I mentioned earlier, rushed answers are not the best type of answers out there. So in order to avoid such a situation, in order to avoid a situation where you come up with an extremely long answer or you come up with an extremely short answer, it's essential that before you develop the answer plan, it's essential that you understand mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. And when you understand the mark allocations, then you can easily determine how many points you need to include under each answer plan. When this is the case, you are taking steps to develop an answer which is aligned with mark allocations, and therefore your answer is not going to be too long or too short. All right, so that's one element which you need to master before you develop the answer plan. So that's exactly what's highlighted in here. And also in terms of formatting, do not spend time on formatting. You need not be considerate about stuff such as paragraph alignment and whatnot. The only type of formatting you have to think of is in terms of coming up with main headings which are in bold and underlined format. So as I mentioned earlier, if there are 2 subtasks within a section, you need to include 2 main headings. And alternatively, if there are 3 subtasks within a section, then you have to come up with 3 main headings, and each main heading should be in bold and underlined format. And per valid point, you need to come up with a paragraph which consists of 2 to 4 line sentences. Other than that, you need not worry about any other type of formatting, because you won't get marks for formatting your answer. And also, remember that you are going to get marks based on the quality of your answer, not the quantity. So I've seen so many tutors out there saying that you need to type X amount of words to score an X amount of marks. which is never going to be the case because as I mentioned in last week's webinar, the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So just think that you are actually working for this company, or just think that you are walking into your own office like on a normal day. So when you receive an email, when you are supposed to come up with a response, so when developing your response, are you going to think in terms of the quantity or the length of your response? Are you going to think about how many words you are supposed to include in your response or in your email? Or are you supposed to think in terms of addressing the requirement at hand in the most successful manner? And when it comes to reading, your superior, he or she who is going to read your response, is this individual, is your superior going to look at the quality of your answer or the number of words you have included in your response? No one is going to be considerate about the number of words you have included in your response. Instead, everybody will be looking at the quality of the content or the quality of your answer. So that's exactly what the marker is looking at as well. So the marker is not going to count the number of words. Remember, this is a professional qualification. This is not an academic qualification. You are not doing an assignment. Instead, you are attempting a case study examination. So in this exam, the marker is never going to look at the number of words you have included in your responses. Instead, the marker is going to look at the number of points you have highlighted, and out of these points, which are accurate and which are inaccurate. So that is why on top of sharing the suggested answers with you, at TCS, we have taken steps to share the answer plans so that you can easily and clearly understand the type of points we have included in the answers, how to structure your answers, because when you go through these suggested answers, pages and pages of information, you are not in a position to clearly see how to structure your answers and what type of points you should include in your answer. So in order to make your life easy, and in order to ensure that you can easily conduct your preparations, we have shared these answer plans with you. So why have we done this? Because given the fact that the marker is picking quality over quantity. All right, so that's the answering technique. So let's try to gain an understanding of the 5 steps which you need to adhere to when it comes to planning your answers. So the first step, as per our answering technique, the first step is to read the scenario. So as I mentioned earlier, you have to dedicate 5 to 7 minutes to read through the entire scenario. And when it comes to reading, it includes the main scenario as well as what appears within the reference material. All right, so you have to read through them within 5 to 7 minutes. Once you have read through the entire scenario, then before you develop the answer plan, you are supposed to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So you are supposed to simplify the requirement in your own words with 2 objectives in mind. Objective number 1 is to gain a clear understanding of what you are expected to achieve when developing your answers. So before you develop the answer plan, you are supposed to gain a clear understanding of what you are supposed to include in your answer. That is why, that is the prime objective of you simplifying each requirement. So if you look at these 2 requirements which appear within this subtask, both these requirements are quite lengthy. So if you look at the first requirement, it says that you are supposed to first advise the board on the approach that should be taken to successfully negotiate the acquisition of a majority shareholding of TFS with the founding shareholder of the company and the possible issues that may arise during the process. So this is a quite long requirement, especially when you are operating in a time-pressured environment. When you have access to an extremely long or lengthy requirement, you will struggle to gain a clear understanding. So that's why you have to break it up and simplify it in your own words so that you are in a position to gain a clear understanding of what you are expected to cover in your answer. So if you look at our answer plans, we have tackled this element as well. So I'm directing your attention towards section number 2, subtask A. So the requirement goes as I'll read it once more. Advise the board on the approach that should be taken to successfully negotiate the acquisition of a majority shareholding of TFS with the founding shareholder of the company, and the possible issues that may arise during the process. So I've simplified it as advice on the approach to successfully negotiate the acquisition. So it's quite simple. When you simplify the requirement, you can gain a higher level of clarity. So that's the first objective of simplifying the requirement. And the second objective is to make sure that whilst developing the answer plan, let's assume you are developing the answer plan, you are halfway through the answer plan, you want to check whether you are headed in the correct direction. So you can easily check whether your answer is aligned with the requirement or not when you have access to a simplified requirement rather than having to read through an extended or a lengthy requirement. So the first objective of simplifying the requirement is to gain clarity. And the second objective of simplifying the requirement is to make sure that whilst developing the answer plan, you can easily refer back to the requirement and see the simplified requirement rather, and see whether your answer is headed in the correct direction or not. So it's essential that before you develop the answer plan, it's essential that you simplify the requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So that's the second step of our answering technique or answer planning. And the third step is to include or develop the headings and subheadings. So as I mentioned earlier, if there are 2 subtasks, you need to come up with 2 main headings, which should be in bold and underlined format. And if you feel that you need to further fraction out your answers, you need to include subheadings. You can rather include subheadings, and each subheading should be in bold format. All right, so if you look at the final answer, that's exactly what you can see here. Under the first subtask, I've come up with a main heading which is in bold and underlined format, and focused on the second subtask, I've again come up with a main heading which is in bold and underlined format. So once you have come up with the subheadings, then you should dedicate your time towards developing the answer plan. And when doing so, as I mentioned earlier, you are supposed to develop the answer plans focused on all subtasks which appear within a section within just 20 minutes. And as I mentioned earlier, before you develop the answer plan, you are supposed to determine how many points you need to include under each answer plan concerning each subtask. So determine the mark allocations based on the weightages. Once you have determined the mark allocations, then you can easily determine how many points you need to include under each subtask, because as I mentioned earlier, each valid point carry 2 or 3 marks. So divide the mark allocation by 3, and then again divide the mark allocation by 2. Then you will realize how many points you need to ideally include within your answer to gain full marks. And when it comes to developing the answer plan, develop it on the answer screen itself. Do not use the scratch pad. So you'd understand these things. You'd understand the logic in a little while as to why I'm asking you not to utilize the scratch pad, because if you look at the technicalities behind your exam platform, there's a separate pop-up. Once you click on the scratch pad button, a pop-up will appear, and there's a tendency for students to plan the answer within the scratch pad. However, we discourage it strongly, given the fact that you are operating in a time-pressured environment, a stressful situation. When this is the case, when you have to shift between your answer screen and a pop-up, an additional pop-up, which is your a scratch pad, it leads to undue levels of stress and complexity. So you have to take steps to avoid all unnecessary stresses and complexities in order to pass this exam comfortably. So that's why I want you to develop the answer plan on the answer screen itself. In a little while, you will understand as to why I'm suggesting it, because as per the technicalities behind your exam platform, when you develop the answer plan on the answer screen, you can easily gain access to the reference material, the pre-seen, as well as the scenario and the requirement onto the right of your screen when you are whilst having the opportunity to develop the answer plan to the left of your screen. So you'll gain a better understanding in a little while when I take you through the exam platform. So for now, remember the fact that you are supposed to develop the answer plan on the answer screen itself. Do not use the scratch pad. And once you have developed the answer plan, dedicate the remaining 15 to 20 minutes of your time to expand the answer plan. And when it comes to expanding the answer plan, as I mentioned earlier, it's simply a matter of developing a paragraph per answer point. So for instance, within a certain subtask, if you decided to include 7 valid points, then in your final answer, there should be 7 different paragraphs. And alternatively, on another subtask, if you decided to include 10 valid points, then in your final answer, there should be 10 different paragraphs. Don't write the entire answer in one single paragraph, because then the marker is going to struggle to figure out how many points you have included in your answer. It's better to assist the marker, because if you assist the marker, you will be in the good books of your marker. When this is the case, let's assume you have achieved 77 or 78 marks. The marker, if he or she feels that you have assisted him or her, then the marker is going to award the additional 2 or 3 marks to ensure that you pass this examination. So it's good to be in the good books of your marker. So that is exactly why you have to assist the marker, listen to what the CIMA examiner is telling us. Develop a paragraph per answer point. Do not write the entire answer in one single paragraph, because when you develop answers such as these, you can see that there are different paragraphs. Then the marker can easily count and see how many points you have included, and then when it comes to marking, the marker can easily figure out, okay, out of let's assume that you have included 7 paragraphs. Out of the 7 paragraphs, the marker can see which points are accurate and which points are inaccurate. So therefore, the marker can easily dedicate marks when marking your paper, because always remember, although you are taking 3 hours to attempt the entire paper, the marker is just going to take 10 to 12 minutes to mark your paper. So on top of it, the marker is not just marking your paper, the marker has to mark a lot of papers. And let's assume your paper is marked towards the evening. Fatigue sets in. The marker is a human being. Fatigue sets in. And when this is the case, when you have written the entire answer in one single paragraph, you are going to pace the marker. So it's better to be on the good books, stick to this methodology, stick to what the examiner is telling us, develop a paragraph per answer point, then the marker can easily mark your paper. All right, so these are the 5 steps which you need to adhere to. So as I mentioned earlier, just because you know these 5 steps, you are not going to implement these 5 steps practically at your or successfully at your exam. Instead, you have to practice these 5 steps over and over whenever you are attempting our mocks under exam conditions. If you do so, you will have the capability to develop high quality answers, manage your time effectively, and come up with a final answer which is in paragraph form. All right, so these are the steps. Having said that, moving towards the exam platform. So as you know, you are supposed to attempt the exam on the Pearson VUE system. So at TCS, with the intention of ensuring that you have the capability of attempting each mock exam under real exam conditions, we have replicated the exact or we have developed the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system. So whenever you are attempting our mock exams, you have the opportunity of attempting mocks under real exam conditions. So before you start utilizing this exam platform, let's try to understand how this exam platform works. It's essential that you understand these technicalities and get your grips with them. If not, you'd end up wasting time trying to figure out these technical elements. So when you start your exam, you will see a screen which looks like this, which indicates information concerning the number of sections within your paper, the time allocation per section, and the number of subtasks and the weightages. And once you click on begin, you will be directed to the first section of your paper. So you will see the section number in here, and towards the extreme right, you will see a timer which runs down from 45 minutes, because the time the dedicated time for each section is 45 minutes. And you will also see a section number. We are in section number 1 out of 4 sections. And you will also see 4 different buttons. And once you click on the calculator button, a calculator will pop up. at this exam, you know for a fact that you are not supposed to do major calculations, but you might have to rework a gearing ratio or some other ratio. So these are, minor calculations. Therefore, you can do these calculations via this calculator, which pops up when you click on this button. And also you have access to a scratch pad. As I mentioned earlier, most students have a tendency to develop the answer plan within the scratch pad. You are not expected to do so. Whilst reading through the scenario, if you feel that you need to jot something down, use your scratch pad to do so. Other than that, when it comes to developing the answer plan, you are not supposed to use your scratch pad. And also you have access to the reference material. So the reference, once you click on the reference material button, a pop-up will appear to the right of your screen, which gives you the additional information tied to this section. And additionally, you have access to your pre-seen document as well within the same screen. So once you click on pre-seen, the pre-seen will pop up to the right of your screen. And within the pre-seen pop-up, you can see that there are two different tabs. And in one of the tabs, you will gain access via one of the tabs, you will gain access to the pre-seen. And once you click on the task tab, you will gain access to the same information which appears in your scenario page. So the scenario as well as the requirement, everything appears within this pop-up as well. So that's how your first page looks like. And once you click on next, you will be directed to the answer screen, and the answer screen functions in a similar manner. You see the timer, the section number, and the same 4 buttons. And you'd see a previous button. Once you click on it, you'd be directed to the previous page. There's absolutely no point of going to the previous page, given the fact that all the necessary information, which includes the scenarios information, the reference materials information, and the pre-seen document, all these 3 elements will appear to the right of your screen as a pop-up. All right, so that's exactly what you can see here. Whilst developing the answer plan, you have access to all the information to the right of your screen. So you have access to the reference material when you're on the answer screen. And on top of that, you have access to the requirement. So you need not, go back or go to the previous section or the previous page rather than that. You can gain access to the same information within this pop-up. And if you want to gain access to the pre-seen, you can gain access to the pre-seen on this same page. So Pearson has developed this system with the intention of assisting you when it comes to developing answers. So you can easily develop the answer plan onto the left of your screen whilst having access to all necessary information to the right of your screen. So you can easily develop the answer plan in here. So as you know, the answer plan is not extremely lengthy. Instead, you are supposed to come up with simple sentences and come up with bullet points and whatnot. So you can easily, whilst these pop-ups are open to the right of your screen, you can easily develop the answer plan to the left of your screen. So that is why I said that you are not supposed to develop the answer plan on the scratch pad, because once you click on the scratch pad button, a new pop-up appears. So you will have to shift between pop-ups. Rather than doing so, you can easily develop the answer plan onto the left of your screen whilst having access to the scenarios information, the reference materials information, and the pre-seen document. And once your time is up, you will see a pop-up which appears like this, which asks whether you should move to the next section. Or alternatively, let's assume that you want to finish this section, you are done with this section. Although the dedicated time is 45 minutes, you have completed everything within 40 minutes. When this is the case, you can move to the next section and the same pop-up will appear. And once you click on yes, you will be directed to section number 2. And when you are in section number 2, you see the same functionality. You see the section number, the timer running down from 45 minutes, the same 4 buttons. However, you do not see a previous button in here, which indicates the fact that once you are done with section number 1, when you are in section number 2, you cannot go back to section number 1. That is why I said at the inception of today's webinar, I mentioned the fact that when it comes to managing your time, you need to think about managing 4 slots of 45 minutes each rather than trying to manage 3 hours. because there's absolutely no point of thinking in terms of managing 3 hours, given the fact that once you're done with a certain section, you cannot go back to your previous section. The only option is to move forward to a new or additional section. So that is why you have to think in terms of managing 4 slots of 45 minutes each. All right, so that's how your exam platform works. Having said that, before we move to the mock exam discussion or the masterclass, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the MCS page. If you are yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create a free user account. And once you have created it, you will gain access to our student dashboard. So click on it and click on my courses. And in front of MCS free, you will see an access content button. Click on it. And once you have clicked on it, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the webinars and workshops we conduct on a weekly basis via the videos tab. And via the study material tab, you'd gain access to the answer plan of mock exam 1, the pre-seen mind map, as well as the syllabus coverage document. And under the mocks tab, you will gain access to the questions and suggested answers of mock exam 1. And via the exams tab, you have the opportunity of attempting mock number 1 under exam conditions via TCS's exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system. So now you have learned answering and time management techniques. So we have given you the opportunity to practice these 2 techniques under real exam conditions via our exam platform free of charge. So you can attempt mock number 1 in its entirety via our exam platform. So make use of these free resources on offer by creating a free user account. And if you are interested in investing on our paid content, click on this button and check our sample material before you do so. And if you are yet to join our MCS WhatsApp group, click on this button and join it. Via this group, you will gain access to hordes of free resources. And additionally, we will keep you guys informed of the weekly webinar and workshop commencement dates and times. And if you have any questions, myself and Jared, we are always there to help you guys out. And talking about what we offer 2 packages, the essential course and the premium course. The essential course is designed for those who are coming through the general route or those who have completed their OTQ examinations, E2, F2, P2, E2, F2 and P2 OTQs. So since you have already completed your OTQs, you have already learned theory. It's simply a matter of brushing up your application skills. So you can easily do so. You can easily brush up your application skills by investing on the essential course. So under the essential course, you'd gain access to the recordings of all weekly webinars and workshops, 6 mock exams with suggested answers. We have made sure to cover all syllabus areas within these 6 mock exams to make sure that you are not actually testing your luck at your exam. Instead, you are fully prepared. You are well aware of how each syllabus area can be tested at your examination. And also, you'd gain access to pre-seen analysis videos. Once you have watched these pre-seen analysis videos, you will gain an in-depth understanding of what appears within your pre-seen. So you need not waste time to decrypt pre-seen information or evaluate or analyze the pre-seen. We have done it for you. And you'd also gain access to the annotated pre-seen industry and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you, what these resources are. So as you can see, we have come up with annotations, tutor annotations, and the main objective is to summarize the entire pre-seen because there's a lot of information which is actually not too relevant to you. So we have simplified the process by summarizing the entire pre-seen via our annotations. And on top of that, we have also indicated probable exam scenarios which can be tested based on the information presented in the pre-seen. And tied to these possible exam scenarios, we have also mentioned examinable syllabus areas. And when developing our 6 mock exams, we have made sure to cover all these syllabus areas and the scenarios to make sure that you are well aware of how your knowledge can be tested and which syllabus areas can be tested in what manner. And talking about the industry analysis slides, these are divided into 4 main sections. In the first part, we have defined your industry. In the second part, we have highlighted industry trends. And in the third part, we have highlighted challenges and opportunities. Based on the industry trends, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. And at the very end, considering a real life company. We have explained what a real life company goes through and operates within your chosen industry. And similarly, we have evaluated the financial statements. So we have evaluated the statement of profit and loss, the statement of financial position of your own company. We have made sure to keep things simple so that you can easily understand about the financial situation of your company. And also, we have conducted a ratio analysis comparing your company's performance against its closest competitors. Again, we have kept things simple so that you can easily gain an understanding about the relative financial performance of your chosen company against its closest competitor. So all these resources are on offer under the essential course. And you'd also gain, under the essential course, you'd also gain access to the top 10 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at the exam. You will gain access to a case study familiarization kit. Once you have read through this kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you will gain an in-depth understanding about the technicalities behind your MCS exam. You will also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you had forgotten a certain conceptual element or you need to brush up your knowledge, don't waste time to go through your bulky study texts or old notes. Simply refer to our OTQ revision cards to brush up your knowledge in a jiffy. So the essential course is priced at £249. And talking about the premium course is designed for those who have failed the MCS exam previously and also focused on those who are coming through the exemption routes. So both these sets of students have similar problems. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So with the intention of teaching you all conceptual elements covered under your E2, F2 and P2 syllabi, and at the same time, with the intention of teaching you application skills, we have included some additional information under the premium, additional resources rather, under the premium course on top of what appears under the essential course. So if you opt for premium, you will gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all 6 mock exams under exam conditions, which is the best way to master your answering, time management and stress management techniques. And also you will gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams. You will see the benefit of having access to answer plans in a little while, because based on this based on the answer plan which we have developed for mock exam 1, I'm going to conduct today's masterclass. And when it comes to revision, your life becomes extremely easy when you have access to these answer plans, because as per our study process, when conducting revision, your job is to redevelop answer plans. So once you have redeveloped answer plans, compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's to further refine your understanding. And also under the premium course, you will gain access to 20 masterclasses. So from mocks 2 to 6, we have conducted masterclasses because the masterclasses of mock 1 are covered within the webinar and workshop series. So via these 20 masterclasses, we are trying to achieve 3 objectives. Objective number 1 is to explain the logic behind each answer. Objective number 2 is to teach you the conceptual element covered within each mock exam, and at the same time teach you application. So there's absolutely no point of you learning theory on your own in isolation and then trying to figure out application. You are going to be stressed. So rather than learning theory in isolation and trying to figure out application, when you watch these master classes, you can easily learn via one single video about each theoretical concept and how to apply these conceptual knowledge when developing your answers. So in a little while, I'm going to conduct a masterclass. Then you will realize the benefit of these masterclasses. And you'd also receive tutor feedback on mock number 4. So let me quickly show you the type of feedback on offer at TCS. So you can see we have evaluated each and every point, each and every paragraph with the intention of highlighting your shortcomings, because the objective of opting for tutor feedback should be to understand your shortcomings. If not, you'd repeat the same mistakes at your own examination. So when you understand your shortcomings, you can fix these problems when you are conducting revision. So you can see the type of feedback on offer at TCS. We evaluate each and every paragraph, and at the very end, we indicate mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. Not just mark allocations, we indicate a success rate as well. By looking at the success rate, you can see the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So you can see that the yellow highlighted in the yellow highlighted subtasks, this student has not really achieved good marks. So when it comes to conducting revision, which is to redevelop answer plans, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. So that's the type of feedback on offer if you opt for premium. And if you feel that you need additional feedback, we do provide feedback focused on mocks 5 and 6 as well. And we will be charging £50 in addition to what we are charging under the premium course, £50 per mock exam. So the price of the premium course is £699, which can be paid in 2 installments of £349 each, or you can pay in full. If so, you will save £100 and the price will be just £599. So you can invest on your preferred course by clicking on either of these buttons. And all products are available until the 28th of February 2026, because the next session is happening in May 2026. And in May, the syllabus is going to be a bit different. Sustainability and related IASs and IFRSs will be included in your syllabus. And at the same time, the next session will be based on a totally different pre-scene. And before we move towards the masterclass, let me quickly remind you of what you are supposed to achieve within this week or within the upcoming couple of weeks as per our study plan. So as per our study plan, I hope you have already mastered the pre-scene by completing the activities which we have dedicated towards week number 2, which was supposed to give you a clear understanding of what appears within your pre-scene. And within this week, we are in week number 3 as per our 8-week study plan. So in this week, you are supposed to learn answering and time management techniques. You have already learned them by now. And then, since you have learned them, you are supposed to attempt mock number 1 via the exam platform. When doing so, practice the answering and time management techniques which you learned under exam conditions to figure out how you are faring with these 2 techniques. And mock number 1 is there to get your bearings with the answering and time management techniques. Once you're done with it, focus your attention towards attempting mock number 2. Again, attempt it under exam conditions via our exam platform, which gives you the opportunity to practice your answering and time management techniques under exam conditions. The objective of attempting mocks under exam conditions is not really to test your knowledge, but to practice your answering and time management techniques. So after you have practiced these 2 techniques under exam conditions, watch the 4 masterclasses to learn theory and application. This is where you will gain knowledge concerning how you should have structured your answers, how you should have approached each and every subtask, how you should have brought in conceptual elements with the intention of developing high quality answers. So all these things will be covered in the masterclasses. Once you have watched the masterclasses, test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans focused on mock number 2. This is when you are conducting your revision. It's essential that you conduct your revision. It's essential that you figure out whether you are capable of replicating TCS's answer plans. Just because you attempt mocks and watch masterclasses, you are not going to pass. Instead, you have to take steps to improve your skill set. Check and see whether you have learned or gained something by watching the masterclasses. So after you have redeveloped the answer plans, compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's to further refine your understanding about how you should structure your answers. So from this week until the next week or the next webinar rather, which is happening on the 4th of January, you have 2 full weeks. So within these 2 full weeks, I expect you to stick to the study process and master mocks 1 and 2. And when we kickstart our preparations again on the 4th of January, once we are done with the 4th webinar, you can focus your attention towards attempting the remaining mock exams on a weekly basis. So you are supposed to, master mock number 3 within week number 4. And in the upcoming weeks, you are supposed to master a mock per week. All right. I hope you will stick to this study process. I hope you will stick to the study plan in order to make sure that you are well prepared before walking into your examination. So having said that, let's move towards the discussion of mock exam 1 or the masterclass, which I'm going to conduct, focused on mock 1, section 2, subtask A. So first things first, as per our answering technique, the first step is to read the scenario within 5 minutes. I'm not going to read through the entire scenario. I'm simply going to direct your attention towards the information which is relevant for subtask A. But when you are attempting the exam, you have to attempt in the mock exams rather. You have to attempt, you have to practice these 5 steps religiously. All right, so let's look at what this section is all about. The time allocation is 45 minutes. You receive the following email from James Stan, the senior finance manager, and the subject goes as acquisition. So it appears that we are trying to acquire some company. The board has officially decided to enter the PC repair and servicing market. So we are not in to repairing PCs and servicing at the moment. We are a reseller of PCs, peripherals, and whatnot. But now the company is pursuing some type of a diversification. So the board has officially decided to enter the PC repair and servicing market. However, as you outlined in your earlier report, the board has acknowledged the reputational risks of entering this market under the Ressett brand. Therefore, the board is considering the acquisition of a specialist PC repair and service provider in Lamland and integrating it into the Ressett group. So rather than us, diversifying on our own or opting for organic growth, we are trying to go for inorganic growth by acquiring another company which is into repairing and servicing PCs. Please refer to the attached board meeting minutes for more details. So let's look at the reference material. So this gives us an indication of what the board has decided in terms of, or what the board has discussed rather in terms of this acquisition. The board has formally decided to enter the PC repair and servicing market and has agreed to pursue an acquisition strategy. The board has identified Tech Fix Services or TFS, a specialist chain of PC repair and servicing centers in Lamland, as the preferred acquisition target. So the board has already identified which company we are supposed to acquire. This company is known as TFS. Founded in 2012 by Andrew Flintoff, TFS began as a small independent repair shop before expanding into a regional chain. It is now regarded as a reputed player in the market, operating 18 service centers across major towns and cities. So it had grown in size. TFS has grown in size since its inception. TFS offers a broad range of services, including diagnostics, hardware replacements, virus and malware removal, software support, and data recovery. In addition, it provides on-site support packages for SMEs, schools, and local charities, which has become a key growth area. The company is well known for its reliability and competitive pricing, earning repeat business from both individual and organizational clients. So they are doing good, it seems. Full ownership of the business remains with its founder, Andrew Flintoff, who continues to oversee operations as the managing director. So there's an owner-manager who is known as Andrew Flintoff. The board has agreed that Ressett should seek to acquire a majority stake of at least 75% in TFS. All right, so that's the information. Let's look at what you're expected to achieve. Hazel, the finance director, wants to meet us both today to discuss matters pertaining to the acquisition. I'm busy working on the investment appraisal and hence would appreciate if you could prepare some briefing notes covering the following. First, advise the board on the approach that should be taken to successfully negotiate the acquisition of a majority shareholding in TFS with the founding shareholder of the company and the possible issues that may arise during this process. So we have completed the first step of our answering technique, which is to read the scenario. Then your second step is to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a lengthy requirement, so you are supposed to simplify it. That's exactly what you can see in here. Advice on the approach to successfully negotiate the acquisition. So how should we manage the negotiation process tied to this acquisition? So that's the second step. We are done with the second step. We have simplified the requirement. Then you are supposed to develop headings and subheadings. So you can come up with a heading which could read something as simple, such as negotiation, or you can come up with a lengthy main heading. So give me a second, please. Let me scroll down to the relevant area. So Jared has included a lengthy main heading which goes as approach that should be taken to successfully negotiate the acquisition of TFS and the possible issues that may arise during this process, which is in bold and underlined format. All right, so we are done with the third step as well. Then the fourth step is to develop the answer plan. Before you develop the answer plan, you are supposed to determine how many points you need to include in your answer. So as I mentioned earlier, you have to look at the weightages. Based on the weightage provided, you can indicate or determine the mark allocations. So the mark allocations based on the weightage is 18.75. So you are supposed to divide 18.75 by 3. You get an answer which is 6. Then divide 18.75 by 2. You get an answer which is 9. So if you include 6 to 9 valid points under the first subtask, you are going to get full marks. All right. So we have completed this step as well. And then let's try to understand how we should approach, or how we should develop rather, the answer plan. So as per what you have learned in your E2 syllabus, there is a process which we need to adhere to in order to conduct negotiations in the most successful manner. So first things first, we have to think in terms of what we should do before the negotiation. That's the first step as per the negotiation process highlighted in your E2 syllabus. And then we should think in terms of what we should cover during the negotiation. There are 2 different steps highlighted within your E2 syllabus. And then finally, we have to close the negotiation process. So in your E2 syllabus, you would have learned about a 4-step negotiation process. That's exactly what you can see here. The negotiation process starts with a preparation process or preparatory work. That's the first step. And the second step is to open the negotiation process. Once you have opened the negotiation, then you have to move towards bargaining. This is where you listen to the other party and try to come to a compromise or try to come to a middle ground. The objective is to, if possible, achieve a win-win scenario. And once everything is settled, once the bargaining process is done, you are supposed to close the negotiation process, which is the final step of the negotiation process. So let's look at how we should commence the negotiation process, or what you are supposed to do before you commence the negotiation process. So at the preparation stage, you have to establish what both sides wish to accomplish, because it's essential that we define what a common ground is going to look like. So we have to think in terms of what we want to achieve via this negotiation process. And also we have to forecast about what TFS's managing director, Andrew Flintoff, wants to achieve via this negotiation process. So we have to establish what both sides wish to accomplish, with the prime objective of finding a common ground. Because this common ground, when we gain a good understanding of this common ground, we can easily conduct our bargaining process. So this, what we do at the preparatory stage, is aligned with what we carry out at the bargaining phase. All right. So at the preparation stage, we have to understand what both sides wish to accomplish. And also, it's essential that we conduct due diligence and financial and non-financial analysis, given the fact that this negotiation is tied to an acquisition. So this is where your application knowledge is tested. So just because you know your theory, and if you try to replicate the same information which you have learned via your E2 syllabus, you are not going to gain full marks. Instead, you have to work towards application. You have to see how you should apply this conceptual knowledge concerning what is highlighted within your scenario. So as per this scenario, we are pursuing an acquisition. So in our preparatory stage, we have to conduct due diligence. Therefore, try and go through the financial statements of TFS and conduct a financial analysis, and also look at the non-financial performance elements of TFS to gain a clear understanding of what this company is up to. And when we conduct this due diligence, concerning the financial statements and non-financial performance, we can establish a realistic price to acquire TFS. So at the preparation stage, we have to gain an understanding of the pros and cons of acquiring this company. And at the same time, we have to think in terms of how much we should pay to acquire this company. And with the intention of gaining an understanding of how to price this acquisition, we have to conduct due diligence. However, at this stage, when we try to carry out these activities, we might face some issues. What type of issues might we face? TFS is a privately held entity. It's a limited liability company, yes, but it's not quoted. Therefore, since it's privately held, the share price and other related information are not available to the public. I mentioned the fact that we have to conduct due diligence by looking at financial and non-financial performance. How are we supposed to gain our hands on the financial statements of this company and gain an understanding about its non-financial performance when the share price is not available, as well as other relevant information are not available, given the fact that this company is unquoted? And also, even if we reach out to the management of this company, they might not be ready to share information with us, because as per the scenario, there is no indication about the founder of TFS reaching out to us, or there's no indication about Andrew Flintoff, the founder of the company, being interested in selling the business to us, because we intend to acquire a 75% stake, which indicates the fact that we are going to be the majority shareholder. So we are not, we are yet to understand as to whether Andrew Flintoff is going to let go of his company. So therefore, the management of TFS may not be willing to disclose all information, be it financial or non-financial. And the shareholder, who is Andrew, may not be interested in this sale, as I mentioned earlier. So these are the type of issues we might face when we are conducting due diligence in the preparation stage. And after conducting our due diligence and valuation, if we can gain access to some type of information, we can at least partially gain an understanding of the financial standing of this company and its non-financial performance. So we can come up with some type of a figure concerning the value of this company. After we gain an understanding of how much we should pay to acquire this company, we have to arrange a meeting with the management and the shareholder of TFS. So that all these things will happen at the preparation stage. So at the preparation stage, we are trying to gather all necessary information. If not, we are not in a position to negotiate in the most effective manner, because if you are to effectively negotiate, you need to possess all necessary information. That is what's highlighted within all the points which I've mentioned under the preparation stage. We are trying to gain an understanding of what we want to achieve and what Andrew Flintoff will try to achieve. And at the same time, we are supposed to conduct due diligence to value the company and to gain a clear understanding of how this company operates. All right, so once we gain access to all these type of information, then we should kickstart our negotiation process. And as per what we have learned under your E2 syllabus, when we are conducting negotiations, the first step is to look at the opening phase. So at the opening phase, we are supposed to express our interest and present the opening bid. So we have to get in touch with, as I mentioned earlier, we have to arrange a meeting with the management and the single shareholder of TFS. And when we set up the meeting, we have to express our interest in terms of the acquisition and present the opening bid. And when we are presenting the opening bid, the price should be lower than our valuation. So let's assume when we conducted our due diligence, we came up with a figure which is $100 million. So at the opening stage, when we are presenting the opening bid, we should not say that we are interested in acquiring the company at $100 million. Instead, we have to go for a lower figure, which could be something like $80 million. Because always Andrew Flintoff, or the founder of this company, founder managing director of the company, will try to push the value as much as possible. First things first, this individual should be interested in selling the company. If this individual is interested, then when we say $100 million, he is definitely going to ask for a higher price. It could be $130 million or $150 million. Since we know this, when we are presenting our opening bid, we should not say that, okay, we are interested in purchasing your company at $100 million. Instead, we should say we are going to pay $80 million, knowing very well that the founder managing director is going to push the price up as much as possible. That's how negotiations work. So we should stipulate a price which is lower than our own valuation. And also we have to, within this opening stage, we have to specify how we are planning to settle this price, whether we are asking for, whether we are ready to pay in cash. If let's assume the value is 80 million, whether we are supposed to settle this in cash, or whether we are opting for non-cash considerations such as a share-to-share offer or whatnot, because as per what's highlighted within the reference material, the board is not interested in purchasing this or acquiring this company outright. Instead, we are looking for a 75% stake. So we can also, rather than opting for a cash transaction, we can opt for a non-cash consideration such as a share-to-share offer. So the issues we might face at this opening stage is the fact that Andrew refusing to sell his shareholding. This might happen because, as I mentioned earlier, there's no indication about the fact that Andrew being interested in selling his company to us. And also, there could be a situation where Andrew will try to quote an exaggerated price because we are the entity which is reaching out to Andrew to acquire this company. And when this is the case, definitely Andrew is going to push the price up. That's why I said that we should quote, as our opening bid, we should quote a price which is lower than our valuation. And also, Andrew might ask for a share exchange, and this is only feasible if Ressett's shareholders agree. Some shareholders, if they do not agree, especially if they are majority shareholders, then we are not in a position to move ahead with this negotiation and finalize this acquisition. So this is what happens at the opening stage. So it's a situation where we express our interest and present our opening bid, and Andrew therefore will state the fact that whether he is interested in selling the company or whether he's looking for a higher price when it comes to selling the company, or whether he's going to opt for a share exchange. So all these things should be thought of or tackled at the opening stage. And once we finalize everything, then we can proceed with the negotiations at the bargaining stage. This is where we have to discuss and try to achieve a mutually beneficial arrangement, mutually beneficial for Ressett as well as TFS. So that's why I said it's essential that at the preparation stage, we try to define what the common ground looks like, because that should be our objective. We have to achieve this objective when conducting our bargaining, because we have to try and push for a win-win scenario. Then all parties involved will be happy. However, the issues we might face is the fact that shareholders can still insist on a price that exceeds our valuation. So let's assume our valuation was $100 million. We quoted $80 million. However, Andrew is asking for $150 million. So that's the type of a situation and issue we might face at the bargaining phase. And we should be prepared. If this is the case, we should be prepared to propose alternative solutions, such as going for a deferred or staggered payment approach. So if Andrew is asking for $150 million valuation, we can say that we are going to stagger it across 6 months, which will be beneficial in terms of the way in which we manage our cash flows. And also, we can opt for contingent considerations as well. If Andrew is asking for $150 million, we can say that, okay, we will pay this if these KPIs are achieved within the next 6 to 12 months. So part of the payment can be made to Andrew. If he is asking for $150 million, we can pay something like 50 to 80 million upfront, and the remaining portion will be paid based on, contingent on, the performance of TFS. So if TFS achieves different set of KPIs, then we can easily pay the remaining amount. So we have to decide about bargain, negotiate with Andrew, and decide about whether we are going for deferred or staggered payment, or whether we are opting for contingent consideration. And if the price significantly exceeds a fair market price, the acquisition is not advisable. So if our valuation came up to $100 million, and if Andrew is asking for 200 million, for instance, we should not proceed with this acquisition. We should stop our bargaining. And if we strike a deal, we have to close the bargaining process. So if both parties reach a consensus, we have to finalize the agreements and formalize the acquisition drive. So what was discussed during the negotiations should be typed onto a document, and we should form our contracts, and contracts should be signed by both parties so that we can proceed with the acquisition. So this is how you should approach a question tied to negotiation. As you have learned under your E2 syllabus, the typical negotiation process consists of 4 main parts: preparation, an opening stage, a bargaining stage, as well as a closing stage. So a major chunk of your answer should be focused on the first 3 stages. So always remember, in preparation, we are preparing ourselves to conduct the negotiation process. We are preparing ourselves to present the opening bid. We are trying to figure out what the other party wants to achieve, as well as we are trying to define what we want to achieve. And at the opening stage, we are expressing our interest and the opening bid. And at the bargaining stage, this is when the counterparty will bargain, try to negotiate with us. And when conducting negotiations or at the bargaining stage, our objective should be to achieve at a consensus. If possible, achieve a win-win scenario, which is not going to be the case in most instances, but we should try and push for a win-win scenario as much as possible. If not, the negotiation process might break down. And once we finalize everything, at the closing stage, we have to agree, and we have to sign the agreements, legal documents, and whatnot. All right. So once you have developed the answer plan, your final step is to expand the answer plan, which is to develop a paragraph per answer point. So this is what your answer plan looks like. And when you look at the suggested answer or your final answer, it should look something like this. So I've simply expanded each point in paragraph form. So all your thinking, all your planning, structuring, and justifying all your points, everything happens at the planning stage. When it comes to typing, you are not supposed to think. You are not supposed to justify each and every point. Instead, it's simply a matter of expanding each point in paragraph form. All right, so that's what you are supposed to achieve when you are implementing or practicing these techniques when attempting mocks 1 and 2 under exam conditions via our exam platform in the upcoming 2 weeks. All right, so I invite you to practice answering technique by attempting mock number 1 on TCS's exam platform, which can be accessed via both paid and free packages. And I'm happy to say that we achieved a 90% pass rate in August. So almost all our students ended up passing the examination. Just 2 students failed last time. So you can achieve a similar feat if you stick to our study plan, if you're serious about the process which we are explaining in each webinar and workshop. So keep practicing your answering and time management techniques. Watch the master classes to learn theory and application. You understood, I hope you understood how to approach conceptual elements considering a negotiation related question, and how to deal with application as well. So you will learn both these 2 elements focused on a mock exam. So this is extremely beneficial, rather than learning about the negotiation process and trying to figure out how to work on your application. Once you watch the master classes, you will learn theory and at the same time learn application in one single video. So it makes your life easy. You need not spend a lot of time to conduct your own research. We have already done it for you via the master classes. And once you have attempted the master class, once you have watched the master classes rather, then redevelop answer plans And once you have redeveloped the answer plans, compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's to gain a clear understanding of whether your skill set is improving or not. All right. And if you stick to this process and if you take steps to master a mock exam per week, you will definitely pass this exam without any hiccups. All right. So having said that, I'm moving to the Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can switch on your mic and talk or drop us a message via the chat. Any questions, folks? Did you understand our answering technique? Did you understand what I highlighted in the masterclass? Any doubts? Any questions? This is your time to talk. So Chumani is asking a question: when doing the answer plan, is it advisable to do it for both subtasks at the same time or to do it for each subtask at a time? Well, you can't tackle both at the same time. So for instance, the first question is focused on testing your knowledge about the negotiation process. So, focus your attention towards developing the answer plan focused on the first subtask. Once you're done with it, then move on to the second subtask. So the second subtask is testing your knowledge about consolidated financial statements, how to account for this acquisition. So this is a totally separate element which tests your understanding concerning your F2 syllabus. So in the first part, your knowledge concerning the E2 syllabus is tested. In the second part, your knowledge concerning the F2 syllabus is tested. So since these are two different elements, don't try to focus on both together. So you have 20 minutes at your disposal. So the weightage is 50 each. So dedicate 10 minutes of your time to develop the answer plan for the first subtask, and then dedicate the remaining 10 minutes of your time to develop the answer plan focused on the second subtask. So these weightages give you an indication of mark allocations as well as how you should manage your time when it comes to planning your answers. So as I mentioned earlier, the total time dedicated towards answer planning is 20 minutes. So 50% of 20 minutes is 10 minutes. So dedicate 10 minutes of your time to tackle or develop the answer plan for subtask A, and the remaining 10 minutes should be dedicated towards developing the answer plan concerning subtask B. I hope I addressed your concern. All right, another question had come through. Munjari is asking a question: do we delete the answer plan or leave it? So Munjari, it appears that you have not really understood about how you should expand your answer plan. So as I mentioned earlier, the objective of developing an answer plan is to think or to structure your answer. And once you have structured your answer, for instance, in here, if you look at the answer plan and the suggested answer is simply an extended version of this answer plan. So when you are expanding your answer, utilize the same information, add some additional set of words so that you connect all these points. So let me explain how you should do this. So if you look at this, as always, the key to any successful negotiation is to establish what both sides wish to accomplish so that a common ground can be found. So that's the exact same thing which you can see in this first bullet point. Establish what both sides wish to accomplish. As always, the key to a successful negotiation is to establish what both sides wish to accomplish and find a common ground so that a common ground can be found. Our first step should be to conduct a thorough due diligence of TFS. Conduct due diligence concerning the financial and non-financial performance. Our first step should be to conduct a thorough due diligence on TFS and establish a realistic price for the company. Establish a realistic price for TFS based on financial and non-financial evaluation of the company. So it's the same set of points. You do not have time to develop an answer plan and then again repeat the same information. Instead, it's simply a matter of developing the answer plan, and when it comes to typing, connect all these points together in paragraph form. So if I'm to develop this, expand this, answer plan in paragraph form, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something like this. First things first, when before we commence the negotiation process, we have to establish what both sides wish to accomplish with the intention of finding a common ground. Therefore, we should conduct due diligence by looking into the financial and non-financial performance of the company with the prime intention of establishing a realistic price for TFS. However, when trying to do so, we might face some issues, especially given the fact that TFS is a privately held entity. Therefore, we do not have access to publicly traded share price and other relevant information concerning the company. This will hinder our due diligence process. And also, the management of TFS may not be willing to disclose all this information concerning the financial and non-financial performance, and Andrew may not be interested to sell this company. So it's simply a matter of tying all these points together or combining all these points in paragraph form rather than repeating the same process where you have an answer plan and you have a separate or finalized answer as well. Rather than doing so, it's simply a matter of connecting all these points which appears within your answer plan. So you need not delete your answer plan. It's simply a matter of connecting all the points together. So you can, copy and paste, add some filler words and whatnot to, come up with a final answer in paragraph form. I hope I addressed your concern, Munjari. Shumani, did I address your concern? Munjari, did I address your concern as well? Dorota is asking a question. So it looks like we do not delete, but we merge, connect, widen the plan as I understood. Yes, exactly, Dorota. That's exactly what I mentioned. You are welcome, folks. Anything else? Any other questions? All right, folks. Seems like there aren't anything else. So thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email during office hours, or you can directly email us at info@study@tcs.com. Or if you need instantaneous support, drop a message on this WhatsApp number, which is 7898464196. And I urge you to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because via YouTube you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops, and also via TikTok you'd gain access to 6 videos, which is a good pre-seen mind map. So on a daily basis, for instance, on your way to office, watch these 6 videos on a continuous basis so that you are constantly keeping yourself reminded of the most important points highlighted within your pre-scene. And similarly, we have already shared this document with you, which is the PDF version of the pre-scene mind map. You can download this via our student dashboard. We have already shared this via our WhatsApp group as well. So when you have access to this document, go through it on a daily basis to keep yourself reminded of the most important points highlighted within your pre-scene document. And if you're yet to read our blog post, which is focused on Ressett, visit our blog page and click on this article to read through and gain a better understanding of the internals and externals of your chosen company, which is Ressett. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the most important webinar, the third one. I hope you gained a good understanding of how to approach your answer planning as well as time management. And I invite you guys, I hope you will practice these two techniques when attempting each of our mock exams in the upcoming weeks. So there are 2 weeks at your disposal in which we are not conducting classes. So I hope you will attempt mocks 1 and 2 under exam conditions, and also take steps to conduct your revision based on the same two mock exams. And I wish you the best of luck for the upcoming year 2026. And if you are celebrating Christmas, I wish you a very Merry Christmas as well. And I will join you guys next year in January, in which I'm going to teach you stress management techniques and also take you through the exam blueprint, especially focusing on examiners' comments. So thank you very much for joining. I'll see you guys next year, and be safe and take care.